Hello and welcome to Chakra News. India and China's new diplomatic spat has to do with an Indian national from the state of Arunachal Pradesh. Pema Wangjom was detained at an airport in China, in Hong Kong, when she was transiting through Hong Kong, and she was detained, and some comments were made about her being from the state of Arunachal Pradesh, a state that China claims as its own territory. Now, this is not the first time that China has harassed citizens from the Indian state of Arunachal Pradesh. What's this all about? What's this controversy have to do? What are the origins of this? Why is China doing that? I have with me Group Captain Hemonto Panging, distinguished Indian Air Force fighter pilot veteran, to join me. Group Captain Panging, welcome.
Thank you so much, and good to see you, Sandeep.
As always, sir, I have to ask you, when this entire controversy erupted, China's illegal detention of Pema Wangjom, I was reminded of what you went through a few years back. Was it about 15 years back, when you were part of a delegation that was to go from the Indian Air Force to Arunachal Pradesh? Explain to us, to China, explain to us what happened that year. When was it? And what are the circumstances of this?
Yeah, this incident has reminded me about my similar type of incident that happened in 2012 when I was Chief Operations Officer of Air Force Station Tezpur. So that is the time we were a 30-member delegation, Armed Forces delegation. We are going to China, and we are visiting various places like Beijing, Nanjing, and Shanghai. So I had traveled from Tezpur to Delhi. We had done our formalities, and we are waiting for the visa. And that is the time in Delhi, I got a call from the Defense PRO, Shillong, asking me whether there is some problem with my visa. So I told him that we are all waiting for the visa, whole team. So thereafter, the matter ended, and half an hour later, all the national TV channels, ticker tape started with my name on it. Then I've been denied a visa by China. So then, obviously, I started getting calls from the media houses. And later, next day, it is hilarious. I was in Air Force Station race course when I saw in all the national papers, my name was there on the front page, narrating the incident. And thereafter, at around 11 a.m., there was a meeting held to decide our future of the tour of the delegation. So in that meeting, it was decided to drop 15 members. The 30-member delegation was truncated, made to 15 members, and I obviously was dropped along with 14 others. And the remaining delegation went through. Obviously, what had happened was that time, China had said that since he is from Arunachal, he doesn't require a visa. He can come just like that. So that was the incident that time. And their ways of actually fingering the issue carries on. Sometimes stable visa, sometimes they trouble Arunachalis transiting through, excuse me, as it happened with our sister Prema. And sometimes they say visa not required to come. So the colleagues of mine, 14 members who had dropped with me, they're obviously very upset that they could not go on this trip to China because of me. But that is what happened that time. And that time, then ruling government, they went ahead with the truncated mission to China.
You mean there was no statement issued from the MEA at that time? Which year was this, sir, exactly?
It was 2012. And present NDA government was in opposition. So this matter was taken up by many members of the opposition that time. And they said that why deny these rights to citizens of Arunachal? They are very much Indian citizens. And in effect, by truncating the whole delegation, they said that you are agreeing that Arunachal is disputed territory. And this issue was taken up. And I was in the national papers for 2 days consecutive.
Right. So, I mean, did it, as a proud resident of Arunachal Pradesh, that's one of India's most beautiful states. I must tell all our viewers who has been if you have a chance to visit Arunachal Pradesh, do visit it. It will surprise you. But, Group Captain Panging, you belong to a very illustrious family that's produced several government servants, war heroes. How did you feel at that point when the government didn't really back you on this? Did you feel slighted? Did you feel hurt the fact that your case was not taken up, say in a way that Pema Thangdok's case has been taken up now? There's a very strong demarche that's been issued to China, and China has, of course, responded by, again, claiming your entire state as its own territory. What's your thought? What are your thoughts on this?
Obviously, I was disappointed. But you see, I was a soldier. So I had to obey whatever the government decided. And I had to stick by it. And we are, being in the armed forces, we are not allowed to go to the social media or the media. And what is the difference between what happened to our sister Prema is that she is a civilian and she can resort to use of the social media platforms like Twitter and other Facebook and other media. But I was not allowed. Obviously, I felt slighted that being born as a Indian, serving in the Indian Armed Forces, there are certain countries I could not go because I was born here or I belong to a particular state. So in a way, it was a kind of discrimination. You can call it political discrimination or racial discrimination or area discrimination, whatever you called it. But obviously, a chance to go to abroad and see Beijing, and there is a connection to it. You see, when I was in National Defense Academy, learning a foreign language is compulsory. So because I was in the Air Force and most aircraft were Russian, I opted for Russian as my preferred choice. But finally, the authorities decided to give me Chinese. So I learned Chinese language, Mandarin language. I did Diploma Part 1. And because of learning that, I took the book prize of Chinese in my course. Though I didn't continue further studies because my Air Force commitments. But being from Arunachal Pradesh, who shares a border with Tibet and with China, and there is a connect. And as to what is the scene like, because I studied Chinese and all. So obviously, I wanted to go and see. Just speaking to myself, ni hao ma and xie xie ni is not good enough. Maybe I could have gone to Beijing and Nanjing and practiced those. But that be aside, it obviously you feel disappointed when you are singled out and along with you another 14 people are dropped, and obviously they are cursing you. That is what happened.
But so, a little while earlier we were talking about the roots of China's claim on the entire Arunachal Pradesh. What is the origins of this? You've studied the issue very closely, and what do you think India should be doing? Because this is the kind of harassment that we've been facing. They've been changing names, for instance, of towns and cities in Arunachal Pradesh. Give us a sense of where this entire dispute began, with the Chinese claiming all of Arunachal Pradesh as their own territory.
See, this entire so-called dispute of the McMahon line and the Chinese claim of Arunachal Pradesh as Jangnan its roots goes back to the 1914 Simla Agreement. In 1914, after 1 year of negotiations, the Simla Agreement was signed, and that time India was represented by Sir Henry McMahon, who was the Foreign Secretary at that time. And that time, for the knowledge of all the viewers, Tibet was independent, and Tibet had their own representative called Longchen Chatra. And Chinese had a representative by the name of Ivan Chen. And the whole teams, they came together at Simla and they discussed for 1 year, 1 full year. And after that, all maps were discussed, all drawings were discussed. Before the final agreement was signed, there was a draft agreement along with the map, which was initial by the Chinese representative, that is Ivan Chen. But when it came to the final signing of the document, so there was a dispute between inner and outer Tibet. And it is documented very well in McMahon Line, the book written by our former governor of Arunachal Pradesh, General J.J. Singh, where they talk of 2 lines, red line and the blue line. And if you go by that, there was no dispute between the so-called border between Arunachal Pradesh and Tibet. So this entire thing, sorry, once again, that this thing is disputed by the Chinese is all bogus. Plus, I'm a Arunachali. I'm born in Arunachal. My parents and whole my clan, they all belong to Arunachal Pradesh. And since I've studied Chinese also, let me tell you very upfront that we are linguistically, traditionally, culturally, racially, we are different from Han Chinese. And they have no rights to claim on us without asking us. So their whole claim is based on bogus, the so-called dispute of not signing of the Simla agreement, and also on based on racial resemblance. Now, if you just go by racial resemblance, tomorrow, what stops me from claiming Japan or Korea as part of us?
Right. Absolutely. So the whole thing is bogus, as you said. This entire claim on Arunachal Pradesh that China has made is bogus, and you've explained it beautifully. But what is India to do, sir? What should our strategy be in the months ahead? If it were up to you to advise the government, what would you tell them? What strategy to adopt?
So my point is, I told previously also that China is a neighbor not to be taken at face value. We have to do deeper analysis on whatever actions they take. For every action, like what in the 1962 war, the famous saying goes that Hindi Chini bye bye.
Right.
Hindi Chini bye bye. They say it on one side, on the other side, they were preparing and mustering to carry out that war in 1962, where they came inside Arunachal Pradesh by almost a kilometer. Now, I have written extensively on this, that why is the Indian government taking it so softly, so conservatively. So, like what Pakistan has been doing to India for so many years, and finally, Prime Minister Modi called their bluff and carried out those Balakot and Uri strikes, and recently Operation Sindoor and all. So, China is a different kettle of fish. We have to tackle them at all levels. But then also, this time for us to call the bluff. So, I write also regularly in newspapers. So, I have written on it that the time has come for us to start issuing stable visa to people of, say, example, Xinjiang in China, and give them back in the same coin. And if they are renaming places in Arunachal, we should also start renaming places in China. I have written in one of my articles that we should say, for example, rename Beijing as Bharat Nagar, or Kunming, we should rename as Arun Nagar, or maybe Chengdu as Modi Nagar. And maybe just they are playing with us, we should also start playing with them.
Yes,
that is what
absolutely.
I feel.
Pay them back in their own coin. But Group Captain Panging, what do you make of the thaw between India-China relations of late? There's after Galwan, 5 years later, there's been a thaw in the ties. We are talking to one another. Flights have been restored. The Mansarovar Yatra has begun. Do you think this is a temporary stalemate, or this is a sign of better relations, or that you cannot trust China? What's your take on this?
See, we have in our tribal, in our clan, we have a saying that there's a shrimp. If you look at the shrimp jumps forward by one step, and then he jumps back by 3 steps. That is what is happening with India and China, that we take one step forward and likely to thaw our relationship, improve our relationship with them, have friendly ties with them. And suddenly one small incident will take us 3 steps back. And that is what happened in 62 war of 1962. Hindi Chini bhai bhai, and thereafter the attack took place. That is what happened in the Pangong So and Galwan Valley attacks also. Their friendly relations, we are having flag meetings, we are Diwali sweets we are exchanging with each other. So all this were happening. And recently, the Prime Minister Modi went to Tianjin, and after whatever has happened with US-India tariffs and other relationship, so it appeared as if we are moving closer. The so-called RIC, Russia, India, China axis. So it appeared that we are coming together finally towards some direction and towards some positive steps. But somehow this kind of incident again takes place. And one more point I want to take forward to you is that if China claims Arunachalis and Arunachal as their territory, so-called brothers, then why trouble their citizens? Every time Arunachali citizens are getting trouble. Yeah, sports person from Arunachal who are going to China are denied visas. So they are denied a chance to earn a medal internationally. Similarly, diplomats who are traveling to China are denied. Similarly, armed forces officers are denied. Similarly, in our case, Sister Pema Thongdok was troubled in the airport. She is a Arunachali citizen. So on one side, you are calling us that you are part of us. On the other side, you are troubling us. So that means what? In the heart of heart, you don't believe we belong to you, or we are not brothers. So basically, it is you are troubling us and disturbing us like that. So in the heart of hearts, you don't believe. So we should improve ties because we belong to Arunachal Pradesh, strategically important state, and we should improve ties with China. But then whenever we take one step forward, they take some action which pushes us 3 steps back. So how could you trust them?
You can't trust them. That's what you're saying. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Group Captain Panging. It's so good to talk to you, and thank you for putting this issue in perspective.
One more point I want to bring up to you. More point I wanted to bring up to you is this: that to deal with China, we require more Arunachali faces to come up in the national media. Arunachali citizens coming up on the national media and telling them to lay off. Because Arunachalis, we are culturally, linguistically, traditionally, we are different from them. So we have to tell them it requires more and more Arunachalis to come up in the national mainstream media and tell the Chinese to lay off. That seems to be one of the solutions.
Right, absolutely. And you've just done that, Group Captain Panging, by talking to us here at Chakra. We're very grateful for that. And thank you so much. Thank you for your time, your thoughts, and your sharing this very crucial matter that we've just been witnessing this.
Thank you for talking with you. It is a very nice discussion. Always talking with you, Sandeep. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.